Well, we're finally getting wet and cold, so I was able to catch some more moss. So what I did yesterday was made about 3 of these Bonniwas. Okay, this one is more or less a vignette of a Japanese garden. This one, more or less straightforward. We just take one element of the Japanese garden and put it in a tray. This one happens to be in one of my concrete trays that I did. Actually, without anything in it, it looks rather kind of ugly because it doesn't have a lot of crisp and cleanness. But once you plant it, it looks so natural. Anyway, so what we have as the main tree is a grove or clump of Japanese maples. You can see that they're trying to change color right now. And then the only other plant is the dwarf sedge. And that kind of gives a little bit of thing. But what we want in a Japanese garden, whether it's in full size or small like this, is simplicity. Keep it very simple, minimal amount of thing to make the statement. So in a typical garden, we have the water basin where you squat to cleanse yourself, and then a lantern that typically lights that area. So that's the elements of the tsukubai. So as we come around one more time, I'll shut this off and get to the next one. So altogether, yesterday afternoon, I made 3 of them. Well, in the past, this year, I couldn't make many of these at all because I had no moss. And moss is an integral part of this whole process because that's what holds the soil together as we have all these mounds and high and lows, right? So that was the reason for not having made any during the warm season. Last winter was so warm and no rain so that the moss then spread. This year is starting, but it's still not a lot of it out there. So I had to kind of pick and choose. So here we are in the front again, so I'll put the next one on. So I guess we'll call this Bonniwa in a traditional Japanese garden style. Yeah, you could still hear this humming of the tree trimming crew. I wish there was a way to filter that out, but I guess that's the best we can do. Anyway, this is just a same shot from a different angle. Boy, I noticed that it's really picking up on my mic. Just think of it as my background music. What can I say? I got to work with what I've got. Here we come around the front again. So all these lanterns, water basin, they were all created by me. The concrete tray, and then when you make these concrete tray, you get leftovers, so you make these little stepping stones. Okay, so what we have here is a grove of trident maples. There is 7 of them. 7 being a lucky number for just about anybody. I thought I'd go much better than that. I call that 7 by 7. There's 7 rocks in there, so double lucky. I don't know. This numbers it's kind of an interesting. The number 13 is considered unlucky. Well, at least here in America, but not necessarily in the Orient, right? Well, in the Japanese tradition, we tend to use odd numbers. So 13 being an odd number is okay for a landscape. Well, you think about it. So you check into a hotel and you're on the 14th floor. Are you truly on the 14th floor, or are you on a 13th floor that they renumbered? And things like that. Well, 7 being more or less universally accepted lucky number, I thought I'd go ahead and double it. So 7 by 7. Well, me, I've been just kind of making up things as I went along. So I thought, hey, if it sells, then I'll make a bunch of 7 by 7s. Yes, this is commercial bonsai, so whatever it takes to sell is a mantra for me. Okay, so I think we're on the back side. As we get around to the front, I'm going to change the camera angle so that we're more or less eye level. So here we come to the front. Yeah, these are not so heavy that I could still use my electric turntable rather than having to use my hand and have a jerky movement. So I just made this yesterday, so the moss has not had time to kind of fuse together. But this is going to look really good in next spring, I think, when it comes out of dormancy, and then I start to shape these trees more individually. Okay, now we're more at eye level-ish. You notice that this is, all these trees came from the same area where it was on the bench, and you could see that some colors better than others. This one in the center, our number 1 tree, is looking its best. So as we go on to the future, all these trees will be individual shaped, right? Anyway, yeah, like I was saying, I just put the moss on. It looks a little bit rougher than I thought. It'll come together though, because now we got wet and cold, perfect for moss growing. So anyway, this is the Trident Maple Grove. 7 trees, 7 rocks. Double luck. Actually, there's another way to look at it. Some of these trees, are they really one, or is it 2 together? So, especially coming around the corner, you'll be to our right with number 1 tree there, and then now see to the left, actually it might be 2, or is that a grouping of 1? That's why I think that using numbers for design is kind of counterproductive. We got enough other things to consider rather than just the sheer number. Anyway, so as it comes around the front, we'll see this Trident Maple Grove. Well, I think this is the front, but some of you might think the other side was. That's okay, as long as at least it has one good front. Okay, so now we take a look at least our number 1 tree. that one has a pretty nice look. So I think that another year to 2 years, next year you look better. I think year after that it should look really great. That's one of the things about making groves, is that it does take time to get it to settle in. I could have used more mature trees, but then the root ball is such that it's really hard to get any kind of, well, when you try to get some closer so that it doesn't become evenly spaced. So anyway, I thought this one came out okay. So it's the 7x7. This is our third one. This is Japanese maple. And what I thought I'd do, well, staying with the numbers. Okay, so number 8 is, I guess, a good luck for especially the Chinese. And so I did this double luck, 8 and 8. Oh, just like the one before, it was 7 and 7, right? Well, this one is 8 and 8. Oh, I guess this numbers is kind of a, I don't know if it belongs within the art. You know, the lucky 7, I guess. I guess everybody more or less agrees with that. But culturally speaking, different cultures value numbers. So this one being 8 by 8. Well, 8 trees and 8 rocks. I think normally I would have put less rocks in, but I was trying to go for this double 8. So I kind of put in more rocks than I normally would have. So you look at the trees, right? The clump of trees. The one on the right is looking really nice, starting to change color. And then the one on the left is already past its prime. That's sort of the norm around here. Sometimes color, other times it doesn't change. The one on the right, or now in front of me, some of it is still green and others have turned maroon. And so, is there a secret to getting these colors? I don't know. All I know is sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. And sometimes it's on one tree, different colors. So, let's see how the path goes, where it kind of leads you into a really tight area. And that's the kind of thing I like to do. And then also the pathway cannot be seen clearly from any direction, especially the front. If it goes straight, to me, it kind of lacks interest. So we're almost back to the front again. Looking from a slight vantage point. See how the pathway kind of meanders, so you really have to get down in there. It makes you want to be in the landscape. Humming you hear in the background is our utility company crew that comes to cut the tree. I think it's a chipper. Well, sometimes hard to shoot these videos when you have this outside noise. But I'm inside with insulated walls, but I guess they're making so much noise that you're probably picking up the sound. Anyway, that's what happens when you live out in the country. They do send out these crews that want to keep the fire danger in check. So I'm kind of grateful for them, but I wish it was not so in the middle of my shooting my videos. But anyway, you could see a slight difference vantage point from a little bit higher up. So anyway, this is Hiro saying goodbye. I'll see you again real soon in another chapter. So this was the 8x8, hopefully lucky in the Chinese thinking. Hey, do you remember this arrangement that I made the other day? Remember I was playing with different types of lantern? Well, what I did was to make another way. Okay, so in the Japanese garden, one of the most revered type of lantern is natural stone. So that's what I did here. It did take a while. The best way would be if it just stay put with natural gravity. Well, for safety and to maintain my sanity, I use a little bit of concrete to set it in place so it stays put.